Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, I'm so excited because I am talking about my unpopular interior design opinions. You may hear different things from other places, but this is the truth and nothing will change my mind. Now, the first opinion I have to share with you, you need to hear from me, is that mid-century design is better than contemporary. Okay, if we're talking about modern design, sleek and what's new, what's in, mid-century is so much better than contemporary because mid-century has character. Mid-century is real. Contemporary is like square. It's black and white. It's like, it's not really giving what needs to be given. Like a mid-century home, a vintage home is so chic. It's so interesting. There's, unique wood tones and features and shapes of windows are all interesting. There's so much like authenticity there that contemporary design just doesn't have. And I don't care what anybody has to say about it. The two of them do not compare. And even a modern mid-century style home, like a newly built mid-century style home, is great. I mean, that can be really cool too. That can be very chic actually, but like the contemporary counterpart to it is like not really giving what needs to be given. So I love mid-century design because there are really clear and defined reference points back to traditional design. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it is a interesting take on what's already existing. The tones of it, the features, the details, the way it's built and everything, great. Contemporary design, however, in my opinion, is just different for the sake of being different. And this is where it's like big panes of glass and black frames and, ultra modern spaces, big open concepts, squares and rectangles. Like, I got it, but like, come on, give us something else. Like, okay, it's minimal, it's chic, it's sleek, but like, now, contemporary is kind of built on the back of mid-century and what it really is. So a lot of times you can take mid-century pieces of furniture and use them in contemporary design. I think that can be kind of interesting. It feels a little bit more unique and personality driven. Also, mid-century furniture, there's so many great things about it, and we see so much of it. People absolutely love it. Like, a Herman Miller office chair, great, we adore that. An Eames chair, beautiful. Those are the real popular versions of it, but look and see what else is out there, what you can find. Add some vintage into your space. It doesn't all have to be brand new, completely contemporary, modern, everything. But like, don't be that person that's like, it's contemporary, it has to be this. Like, hyper design doesn't usually feel like a real person lives there. It doesn't feel like a cavalier lives there either. The whole point is, over designing something or designing something for the sake of it being different doesn't usually feel really authentic or really great or really good. And it just feels like the same thing going over and over and over again, because that's what contemporary design is. It's what's happening right now, what we're building, what the newest thing is. But the whole takeaway is be authentic. Even if you're in like a tract built home, you're in a neighborhood, if all of the houses are the same, what is making your house stand out? What's different? Whether it's the color, the style, the furniture you're bringing in, or, maybe your collection is here, you painted your house different. Like, I think all of that's cool, but just in my opinion, maybe it's unpopular, I think mid-century design is just better than contemporary. Now, if you have a contemporary home and you're looking to decorate it correctly and, make it look good, make it look real, I'm at your service. You can always book a one-on-one interior design consultation with me where I can answer any and all of your design questions using the link in the description box down below or going to intro.co/GarrettLeChic. Now, my next unpopular interior design opinion that you need to hear, and you may not agree with, but I'm gonna just give it out there, I'm gonna share it with you, is when it comes to kitchen renovations. There's so much you can do in a kitchen renovation. There's so many different features, elements, items you can add, but what people spend a ton of money on that I don't think you need to is panel-ready appliances. Now, I will say that I love them. Okay, they're gorgeous, they're beautiful, but if I'm renovating my kitchen, before I spend the money on panel-ready appliances, I'm gonna upgrade the oven and the vent hood. I want those two to be stunning. That's the focal point. That's where my eye is going. Instead of spending all the money on like a built-in refrigerator with a panel over top of it, like honestly, easily multiple thousands of dollars, you're talking like $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 to do something like that. I think you can get a better bang for your buck upgrading your oven, doing something oversized. Go for a 40-inch or a 48-inch oven. Go for an oversized vent hood above that, something custom that really fits in, that's beautiful, it stands out before you spend the money on panel-ready appliances. If I could do every single thing in every home and make it all completely perfect, sure, throw in the panel-ready appliances, why not? Okay, we love them, but if I'm on a limited budget, which most people are, okay, everybody has a budget of some sort, whether you're, designing a house in Beverly Hills or, you're working on a normal home. You have a budget you are setting for that project. I want to see what can I get the most value out of for that money. And that's like what cabinetry, what sort of countertops, what's the backsplash going to be, what are the appliances, what package am I going to go for, and how do I make that stand out? How do I make real interior design out of that and make the best of it? Because even if you're, doing a multiple hundreds of thousands of dollar kitchen, there's always something that's more expensive. There's always something that's better. So what are we doing within this boundary that's gonna be incredible, that's gonna be amazing and achieve great design? For me, upgrading the oven, upgrading the vent hood are two of the biggest things you can do in a kitchen to improve the visual, just the aesthetic design-wise, because those are real statement items. The refrigerator, we're expecting to see a big stainless steel refrigerator in a kitchen. We're expecting it, okay? I think I'm gonna see it. So if I see it, it's not unexpected. It's not groundbreaking for me to not see it. Yeah, panel-ready appliances are impressive, but if it's all just, flat sheets of paneled wood everywhere on every surface, like, okay, like, all right, I'm seeing that, but then there's no aha, there's no standout moment. Like, what is the feature I'm looking for? I want to see a big, beautiful industrial style, vintage style, oversized oven. I want to see a beautiful vent hood that's big, go oversized with it, that's really going to be heavy duty. So when I'm cooking and I'm doing all of the things and I'm making all of the dishes and whatever, and I'm feeding the people, all of the smells are getting sucked out of, you know what I mean? I want to see statement in a kitchen. And I would much rather see that. I would be more apt to spend money on a better oven, a bigger oversized oven, a bigger vent hood than I would panel-ready appliances. My next unpopular opinion is that tiles should be laid at a 45-degree angle. I think tiles should be laid at a 45-degree angle. I don't think there's any other thing that we can realistically do, because most rooms in a home are square. They are square, they're rectangular, they have 90-degree angles in them, the corners and everything. If you put your tile at a 90-degree angle, right? So that's just a traditional square. The lines, the grout lines, the floor lines, where patterns meet up and everything is not going to align with the architecture of the house. It's just not possible. Unless every single tile is custom cut to fit that space, it's not all going to fit seamlessly and perfectly where grout lines meet up. It doesn't really bother me when things are off-centered like that so much, because that's just the nature of construction. So laying the tiles at a 45-degree angle immediately just takes all of that out. It takes all of the guesswork out of it, because now they're not at a 90-degree angle, they're at a 45-degree angle, and it doesn't require any, reshaping of tiles or anything. They're just square tiles. You lay them at a 45-degree angle, and now none of the lines are meant to intersect, so it looks more natural that way, and it kind of takes you out of the moment. It like completely distracts from the fact that we have tiles, we have grout lines, we have squares, we have lines, grids, and patterns everywhere. It completely takes that out of your mindset. It looks so much better and so much more elevated no matter what flooring you're doing. If they're square tiles, lay them at a 45-degree angle. You can do an oversized, rectangular tile laid in a brick pattern. That's fine, but if you're doing square tiles, a 45-degree angle is your best friend. Basically, this just means the tile is turned with its little pointed corner facing down, all right? That's all it means, a 45-degree angle. But the statement it makes is so gorgeous, is so beautiful. And I don't care what sort of architecture you're doing either. If you're doing contemporary design, it softens the space a little bit. If you have a mid-century home, the same thing. It softens that a little bit, and you can go oversized with like a terrazzo tile. Oh, stunning. And traditional design, don't even get me started on it. Do it in a checkerboard, do it in a gray and white marble, do it in actually, I'm obsessed with a travertine and marble mix where it's like tan and white. Oh, that's so stunning, so gorgeous. Victorian tiles, you can do them at a 45-degree angle, all of this. So much better, it's so much more impactful. It drives me crazy when I see people who lay their tile just in like a basic pattern. Okay, yes, I will be honest with you that it does make more waste tile because you have to cut more precise angles, and it takes more exacting execution to get these put in place and fitting correctly and properly, but you just need to have a good tile person, and you can do that. The other thing you can do for tile is mosaics. They're not meant for everywhere. You don't put a mosaic like in your kitchen. You don't put a mosaic in your, main foyer in these big spans of area of flooring. But like, if you have an entrance vestibule to your house, that's a great place for a mosaic. A bathroom is a great place for a mosaic, and you don't have to worry about a 45-degree angle with those either. So it's all something to think about. But if you're doing tile floors, lay that tile at a 45-degree angle because it will change everything. A normal, like a grid pattern for floor, that's just like flooring. Okay, that's just flooring, that's house, that's architecture, that's construction. But laying it at a 45-degree angle, that's design. And if you want the real tea, the truth on how to go above the ordinary and enhance your home and your life through great design, this is the channel for you. You made it this far in the video. You are obviously seeing the value, so go ahead, hit that subscribe button and join us. We post 2 videos every week, and we would love to have you as a part of our GarrettLeChic family. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if everyone could give this video a like. Now, my next unpopular interior design opinion is less of an opinion and more of a fact, and that is that 80% of interior design is just sourcing. Is just like finding the items and the things and whatever. That's what you see, and that's what everybody thinks it is. I would say 80% of it is that. Like floor plans for me, that's easy. We can knock them out like right now. And then it's just monitoring how things are going if you're project managing. But then once it comes down to sourcing, that's where the design and the magic happens. But it's also one of the fastest parts of it too, because there are always places you like, colors you work in, or obvious things and answers. Like I can look at a floor plan and say, okay, this is what it was meant to be. This is what the furniture plan was meant to be for this floor plan here. And then we can kind of build and go from there. I just had a client I was meeting with the other day who she picked out a great sofa, and I looked at it and said, yeah, okay, the quality of it's good. Like you're gonna like this. It's a nice sofa. And I said, but you're gonna have this big empty area here if we go with a sofa, because this floor plan was meant to have a sectional there. And she was like, I was thinking about that, but I wasn't sure. And I was like, yeah, that's why there's this whole big dead area if we just put a sofa here. So instead of doing that, we can go for a sectional and fill that space in a little bit more, because that's just what the floor plan wants. That's what it was designed for. And sometimes you run into that when it comes to interior design, but sourcing is all about how you overcome that. It's like, hey, we need to find the perfect sized piece to go here. Now I'm online and I'm looking and I'm hunting and I'm saying, okay, what are the dimensions, the measurements of these? What is the exact size I need to have there? What is the perfect size that's going to fit on this rug to fill that space in appropriately? That's like 80% of the design work. Okay, that's what you're doing, is all of this like technical this and that. You have to tick these boxes to get things to fit perfectly in those spaces to really fill them in and make it look great. And then it comes down to hunting that and finding it. Sometimes it's like, hey, if I can't find it within the first hour, it's like, okay, we're just gonna end up having to go custom on something like this because it doesn't exist out there. And that's something you have to think about. Also, I love vintage. I love antiques. I love the sustainability that comes from vintage. And that's where you spend a lot of time sourcing and hunting and finding things, because vintage is not just everything is listed online, it's all mass produced and manufactured, there's something for everybody. No, vintage is one-off. It's handmade, it's created, it's custom. And sometimes you have to have it refinished or reupholstered. When it comes to like figuring out the floor plan, the furniture arrangement, like 5 minutes. Okay, that's nothing. All right, it happens. I can literally look at a space and be like, okay, you need this, you need that. That is so easy to do once you see enough of it, but it comes down to finding the right piece. That's where you really spend a lot of time when it comes to decorating. Now, my next unpopular design opinion is one that some people are very passionate about for whatever reason. I don't think it's that unpopular, but apparently it is. I don't believe in ceiling paint. I don't see why I would have to have specialized paint just for my ceiling. That does not make sense to me. Okay, what is so different about the ceiling than the walls that I would need to have different paint? I know how light works and bounces off of different surfaces, and if I am telling you that you do not need to have pure white ceiling paint, you don't need to have it. So what is white ceiling paint? You can go to any hardware store and say, I need white ceiling paint, and they will just pull up a bucket of it and hand it to you. It's usually a pure white flat paint for your ceilings. And okay, that's fine. Like, I get why you're doing that. The whole idea behind it is the light reflectance value of paint. And essentially the way light and color works is that the color you see is the absorption of all other colors. So if I were to show you an off-white paint, like my favorite is Greek Villa right here. This is an off-white paint. It's a creamy, soft, neutral base white paint, and I really enjoy this. This has an LRV of 84. And what happens with this, the color you see, it reflects back almost every color, but there's a little bit of extra yellow. So it absorbs some other ones to reflect a little bit more of that. That's why you see this color. So when it comes to ceiling paint being pure white, it reflects all of the spectrum of light. Light is essentially a mix of rainbow colors of light that all form together to create pure white light. That's the idea behind ceiling paint, that it's bouncing all of the light back into the space. The LRV of this, which is an off-white, is not so dramatically different than that of pure ceiling paint that it will make a meaningful difference. And at the same time, the ceiling is the fifth wall in your home. I'm looking at my ceiling right now and I'm like, gosh, I can't imagine painting this pure white. It would look ridiculous. It is the fifth wall of your home, and you have so many opportunities to do something great there that just painting it pure, basic, boring white, you're not doing yourself any favors. As a matter of fact, you're doing yourself a disservice. So for me, I say take the wall color you're using and paint that on the ceiling. I don't care what color it is. I don't care if you're painting your room black, okay? Paint the ceiling the same color. It's so interesting. It's so much more personality driven. Like there's just so much interest there. You're like not expecting to see a ceiling anything other than white. So when you do, it's amazing, whether you're color drenching or doing anything else. Now, where this gets unpopular is when I talk about the finish of paint, because I only ever paint walls in either flat or eggshell. I don't do like a satin or a high gloss wall unless you're doing something like lacquered almost. I would never do that. So I'm just gonna take the wall paint and I'm gonna paint the ceiling with it. I don't care if it is flat or if it's eggshell. I will paint my ceilings eggshell. I really don't care. Actually, in my house right now, all of our ceilings are paneled, and because they're paneled, we wanted to paint them the same finish as the trim. The trim in my house is satin, so my ceilings right now are satin. They're painted in a satin finish paint. It does not matter. It doesn't change the way the light bounces off of them, because light has nothing to do just with the finish of the paint. It has to do with the color itself. There are always exceptions to a rule, okay? I don't think you have to paint a ceiling in flat paint. Like, I don't see why that would make a difference. And the finish of paint isn't what bounces light around. It's the color that moves light, that reflects light, not just the finish. So if your ceilings are shiny, okay, your ceilings are shiny. It doesn't mean there's more light in them. It means that they just have a shinier finish on the paint. If they're flat, it doesn't make a meaningful difference. Now, it's all about the texture on them that I think matters when it comes to the finish of paint. So if you have a really heavily textured wall or ceiling, I want it to be flat. I want it to be flat because that's what's gonna hide a lot of that texture for me. That's what's gonna eliminate the sheen that comes off of the high and low spots of it. So flat paint is better. Eggshell, though, if we're color drenching, we need to do eggshell on trim. That way it has a little bit of durability. You can't paint your trim flat paint. That's crazy. So then I would take eggshell and put it on the ceiling too. I want it to all be consistent if I'm color drenching, but if I'm not color drenching, then all of my trim will probably be in a satin finish paint, and then the walls will be flat, or eggshell if a client really wants eggshell. Personally, for me, I like the velvety texture of a flat paint. A really high quality flat paint is wipeable, it's cleanable, it has a great texture to it. You can touch it, you can caress the wall, it's stunning, and it looks good on walls and ceilings. Ceiling paint is like pure white. It's like this piece of copy paper compared to the actual white of your walls. Why would I paint my ceiling this and my walls this? Unless I'm mixing different shades of white, I wouldn't do that. And if I'm mixing different shades of white, if this is the wall and this is the ceiling, what's the crown molding? Am I doing 3 shades of white? No, I'm not gonna paint the ceilings that color. I'm gonna paint them this color, and then my trim can be a pure or bright or a fresher white than this. Actually, the trim in my house is painted this color, and this color on the wall is called Asiago. All of that information is linked in the description box down below if you're interested in my favorite paint colors. But I don't think you need ceiling paint, and I don't think ceilings have to be flat. Flat or eggshell is fine for me, and if they're paneled, you can do satin. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. Whether you agree or not with my unpopular interior design opinions, we can all agree that we should let go of the overdone, overused, and just tired design trends. Be sure you check out this video here to make sure you don't have any of them in your home, and I will see you over there.